Today we're going to make a bread pudding with like a cream sauce. My dad has been talking about bread pudding for years, and I feel like he's always been asking for it and he's never gotten it. So today we're making my dad some bread pudding. And this recipe calls for raisins, and so I asked him specifically if he wanted raisins, and he said no. So you can optionally add raisins to this recipe if you would like, but I am not. So all you do is you take 16 slices of white bread and you cube it up. And this is a double batch, FYI. I've never made it before, so hopefully it turns out well because I'm going to have extra. So you just take 16 slices of bread and cube it. Alright, so I have the oven preheating at 350. And then the sauce that you put on top of this is something that you make on the stove top. So we're going to mix this together, and then we'll move over to my stove and make the sauce together. And it didn't say anything about making the bread stale. You know, sometimes with stuffings and dressing, you're supposed to let the bread get stale. It didn't say anything about that, so I didn't bother. So I just went and picked up a loaf of bread. You could switch up the bread. If you don't want to use white, you could use whatever you like, but the recipe called for white, so I figured we'll go with it. I don't know if I've ever had bread pudding. My dad may have had me try it at some point, but I don't remember ever tasting it, and I just know that every time he brings up a recipe, he talks about there being some type of a, you know, cream sauce on top. Like, I don't know if this is called like vanilla something cream sauce. I found it online, but it sounded good. It's got sugar in it, so. All right, let me get this out of here. Like I said, I have a double batch here, so there's 4 cups of milk in here. I'm going to warm that up, and then a stick of butter, which is a half cup of butter. Just gonna melt that together, and then once this melts, we will go ahead and add it to the mixture with the other ingredients. So we just have to let this melt for a few minutes, so I'll be back. Okay, you can see that the milk and the butter are combined. It's warmed up. The butter is all melted. So now I am going to take this mixture and dump it over the bread mix. I'll just go ahead and do that right here. And then we're supposed to let it sit for 10 minutes before we move on to add in the rest of the ingredients to the bread. The bread has sat for 10 minutes with the milk and butter mixture in here. I can feel the bowl is still warm, but now we mix in the rest. So I've got a cup of sugar. This is definitely not going to lack on the sweet department, but that's what it called for. 4 eggs. A teaspoon of ground nutmeg. And about a tablespoon of vanilla. Alright, just going to give this a light mix. And then, like I said, this is going to bake at 350 for about 40 to 50 minutes until the middle is set. Alright, so I've got my dish all sprayed ahead. I go ahead and dump all this in. May take longer than 40 to 50 minutes because I'm putting this in a deep dish. So we'll pop it in and we'll see how long it takes. Alright, so I have my sauce that I'm starting to make. I've got a cup of butter. I've started to melt this. We still have our bread sitting to the side and cooling with that milk mixture on it. So I'm going to melt this butter, and then once this is melted, I'm going to add in a cup of heavy cream, a cup of sugar, and a cup of packed brown sugar. And then we add vanilla right at the end when it's done mixing and thickening. So for right now, I've got the butter, melted. I'm going to add in a cup of sugar, a cup of heavy cream, I'm going to mix this up a little bit, and then I'll add in my brown sugar. Don't want this to stick to the pan before I get everything else in. Alright, and 1 cup of packed brown sugar, plop. Just need to break up that brown sugar. And the nice thing is with this is you spoon this over your individual pieces. So you put on as much or as little of this as you want, because as you can see, this is going to be a really sweet topping. So some people may not want any, some may want just a little, and some may want a lot of it. So this way you can put as much as you want on your individual piece. And now I just need to add in a little bit of vanilla, 2 tablespoons of vanilla. Okay, I am going to leave this on low. Okay, so I ended up letting this cook, I would say closer to about an hour, because I made it, if you put it in a bigger pan, it would cook quicker, but because I made it such a thick dish, it took about an hour for this to cook at 350. Okay, I'm gonna take a piece, I want a center piece here. I tasted this, and it's like a caramel sauce, and it's sweet, so keep that in mind when you're putting it on. You don't have to go crazy. All right, there it is. All right, let's test this. My dad's been talking about bread pudding for I don't know how long. He's always talked about it. So I'm gonna go surprise him with this. I'm tasting it now, but I'm gonna go take him a bunch of it. It's pretty good. I'm gonna put a little bit of cinnamon on this. You know what would be great in this too would be some diced up apple, like some Honeycrisp apple. I'm going to put a little bit of cinnamon on here. Next time I make this, I would put some diced up Honeycrisp apples in it. I think that would be amazing. Or you could do peaches too. Peaches or apple would give it some extra. Yep. Cinnamon. Definitely add cinnamon. And if the idea of putting some peaches or some apples in it sounds good to you, I would like adding that. I think it would be great. But this is really good. Definitely add the cinnamon. Thanks for joining me today. I appreciate it. As always, like, share, follow. I've got lots of videos on YouTube, Facebook, and TikTok. And all the full videos are always on YouTube. Have a good day.